1 year. Can't believe it's been just over a year since I purchased this car. So this video is going to be about my owner experience with this car and whatever problems I may have had in the last year. So stay tuned. Martin Luther King Day, 2018. It was January, in case you didn't know when Martin Luther King Day was. I was off of work, and I'd done a bunch of research and decided to purchase this car after test driving it. Over the course of the next year, I've done a couple things here and there. If you followed the channel, then you would know that right off the bat, one of the first things I did was I picked up the headlight intake tube for the Hellcat style intake. Because I have the Shaker edition, I do have the cold air intake on this, which has the hole already in the box to accept the intake tube. So I did that right off the bat. I did, pretty much normal things a lot of people do, tinting out the side markers and directional lights. Smoking them, not really tinting them that dark, just giving them a nice, help it blend in a little bit better. So most people do that. I put a 3-piece vinyl thing that said Shaker on the back of the car, where it used to say Dodge between the tail lights. I do have to reapply that because a lot of you also know that I was in an accident when I got rear-ended when I went to It's Just a 6 pop-up meet at, where was that? That was Bass Pro Shops. I was literally in front of the meetup at a light, waiting to turn right, and some guy rear-ended me. Now, the light was red, so I was yielding to traffic. I've lowered the suspension with some Eibach Pro. Yeah, it was the Eibach Pros, not the Sports. The Eibach Pro isn't as aggressive of a drop as the other ones. It's like an inch drop, maybe an inch and a quarter at the most, and it actually did not affect the handling characteristics or the ride quality of the vehicle, which was exactly what I was looking for. This car has a very nice ride quality to it. It's not very stiff. Like if you would get Hellcats and Scat Packs, they got a little bit of a harsher ride to them compared to this. So I didn't want to lose that, and luckily I didn't lose that. And it was probably about 8 months ago I put those in, and to this point I have not had any problems with it. I've heard some people have heard some squeaks and whatnot coming from their suspension. I have not experienced any of that. Also, the good thing with the Eibach Pro that I installed over the Sport is I didn't need an alignment. It wasn't that drastic of a drop to really change the geometry of the suspension to the point where it justified getting a realignment. Now, obviously, that's just for me, and that's just what I did. I've been paying attention to my tires, and I do have even tread wear, so I know that the alignment's still pretty much dead on, and when I let go, it goes down the road straight, and I haven't had any problems like that. So, I mean, if you're concerned about it, obviously go get the alignment checked. If you go too low, then you're going to have to end up getting the camber adjusting kit at an additional cost. So, luckily, I didn't have to go that route. The L-wire that I installed probably 10 months ago. It was probably about 10 months ago. Haven't had any problems with that. I still like the glow that it gives off at nighttime, and being wired in with the lights at nighttime when it comes on with the footwell lights, it just gives that nice glow, and I don't have to worry about turning it on and off. Now, I've had some questions regarding wiring this into vehicles. Unfortunately, unless you have a car that's exactly like mine, which is a 2018 Challenger RT, I don't know what kind of wiring is in your vehicle. I actually had somebody twice, the same person, request that I install this, do a video on installing it in a 2001 Volkswagen Jetta. I don't own a Jetta, so I'm not going to do it. So I'm not going to go buy a car to do it. I don't get paid for this. A couple people have commented that they have a different plug than what I have in mine. I can't confirm what you have and what I have. Only what I have, I should say. I can only confirm what I have. So I'm not sure why you would only have a 2-wire plug as opposed to a 4-wire like what I have in my car. but that's what I have. If yours had a 4-wire, that's how you would install it, and it would have to be a 2018 Challenge. So not sure if the other ones have that. Now, with that stuff aside, let's get down to the particulars of the car. Just over a year, I've gone 14,973 miles. Not too bad. It's running around 15,000 is average, so that's pretty good. In those 14,000, almost 15,000 miles, on a weekly basis, I do a lot of around town. We'll say mainly around town. I don't hit the highways that often going to and from work, at all going to and from work actually. So I don't hit the highways very often, and I've been getting right around 16 and a half miles to the gallon every week. Now when I go on a trip, I have experienced as high as 26 miles to the gallon. Now keep in mind, I have the 5.7 Hemi. I don't have the 392 in this. I don't have the Scat Pack shaker. I just have the RT shaker. And I also don't have an automatic. I have a standard transmission, which will affect your fuel economy as well. Now, which way that's going to go, I don't know, but I think the automatics actually get just a little bit better. The only real issue I've had with this car in the year that I've owned it is the Uconnect system kind of went haywire one day. It started having a mind of its own, flashing back and forth between things, and I couldn't hit anything to stop it. I ended up just turning the car off, leaving it for a while, and it fixed itself. So that's a great problem to have when it fixes itself. I didn't end up having to go to the dealer. I thought I was going to have to, but I haven't had a problem with it since, so I haven't bothered. I don't know if there was an update over the air that fixed it or whatnot. I didn't get any messages on my screen, so I cannot confirm nor deny that. But I haven't had any problems, so that's going all good. Other than that, the only thing I've done is maintenance, oil changes. I've had no other issues with this vehicle. Even with it being modified, as little bit of modifications that I've done, like I said, I did touch the suspension, and I haven't had any issues with that at all. So far, so good. Now, speaking of taking it on trips, this, in my eyes, is a perfect muscle car for trips. I know you got Mustangs, and you got Camaros and whatnot out there, or you even have the Charger, which is a little bit bigger than this because you got the added versatility of the 4 doors. Now, me particularly, I wanted this because of the styling characteristics of this car and the lines that I thought Dodge just nailed it when they designed it. It really took me back to the cars from the 70s that I loved growing up as a kid. Now, with taking it on trips, like my father lives just outside of Houston and I live in Dallas, so I go back and forth there. And this is, in my eyes, a great car for that. Mainly because of the size, the amount of trunk space I have, the amount of rear seat space that I have, and just the space up here in the front of the vehicle is, in my eyes, top notch. In the front seat, I have plenty of room. I don't feel like I'm claustrophobic or anything. The seats are very comfortable. Now, even though they have some bolstering on them, it's not an extreme bolster to where it's holding you very tight and you can't move and breathe and whatnot like a lot of sports cars. These are very nice seats. It gives me a little bit of room, but they're very comfortable, especially on long trips. Now in the back seat, there's plenty of room for my kid up. When she's back there, I have a car seat that goes back there for her, and she has all the space she needs back there. Now I can even put 2 full-size adults back there, and they have plenty of room. There's no complaints. They got leg room. Now that's also because of the fact that I'm only 5'8", so if anybody sits behind me, they definitely have plenty of leg room. This car was definitely built for a tall person, and it shows, and that's why a lot of tall people buy these cars. The trunk is very adequate in space, and never had a problem carrying our suitcases and any of the camera gear and whatnot that I've taken on any of our trips. I've never had to worry about space or, okay, well, I got to leave that behind because I don't have the space for it. I'm sure if I had chosen the Mustang, which was a car that I was thinking about, I probably would have ran into those concerns. But luckily I have this bad boy. Now, one of the things that I still love after a year is when I'm driving and I see that shaker just move back and forth. That is probably one of my favorite features of the car. day I test drove it, I fell in love with it, and I still feel the same way today. Now, with it just being the 5.7, a lot of people think that you're going to outgrow it because it's not as fast as, say, the 392 or a Hellcat. Yes, that may be true, but also in the same retrospect, I wasn't looking for flat out top speed or anything like that. I was looking for a good all-around car that I could use as a daily driver, and this fit the bill perfectly. And it's got plenty of horsepower, 375 horses and 410 foot-pounds of torque. That's plenty of power to get you up to speed on the on-ramps as you're coming up onto these highways here in Texas. Now, the other thing a lot of people question is my decision of getting a standard transmission, especially in the area that I live in, with it being the DFW area, Dallas-Fort Worth area. The traffic around here is atrocious, and especially if you get onto like 635 or anything like that, it's pretty much parking lots. So it's a lot of stop and go even when you're on the highway. But with that being said, I really don't mind having a standard transmission in those circumstances. I grew up driving standards. There was always somebody in my family that had a standard transmission, and a lot of the vehicles I've owned have been standard transmissions. So I guess I kind of conditioned myself for it. Yes, some people may outgrow that, but I love it. It's just a way for me to connect. You know, you're using both your hands, one on the steering wheel, one on the shifter, and you're using both your feet. It's very engaging to me. And you should teach your kids how to drive one of these. Now, with that being said, there is a few modifications that I still want to make to this car. This shifter, actually, we're going to go right back to that. That is an area of improvement that I want to embark on, I guess you could say. I want to get a shift kit for it, mainly a Barton shifter to shorten it up and make it a little better. Now, I know work, play, drive, if you happen to see this, I am interested in that Barton shifter. I know you just got a Hellcat, and you are turning your Scat Pack back to stock before you turn it in on the lease. So, with that being said, if you happen to see this, I commented on that video, by the way, and you take that Barton shifter out and you want to sell it, hit me up, boy. I am definitely interested in it. Man, they put some freaking speed bumps in this parking garage. Now, if I had the choice to make all over again and I was in the market for a vehicle, what would I go? Would I make the same decision and choose the Challenger knowing what I know now? Absolutely. It would still be my #1 choice. I've driven Mustangs. I've driven my Challenger for the last little over a year, and I would not have made a different decision. I still would have gone with this. I love this car just as much today as the day I bought it. So, and also, if anybody was to ask me if they should consider purchasing this vehicle, I wholeheartedly say yes. Some people are going to say no because they're diehard Chevy people, or they're diehard Ford people, whatever it may be, or you just may not like the Challenger, may not like FCA, whatever it may be. But this is my opinion, and I personally would definitely recommend this vehicle to somebody. Still, my only gripes with this vehicle is the windows. Now, they have one touch down, but they do not have one touch up. But when you pull the switch, you can feel that second click like it should have it, but it doesn't have it. So that really is annoying. You would think they would have, with the technology nowadays and the amount of money they charge for cars, that you would get that. I don't know if it comes in any of the other cars like the Hellcats or whatnot, but in my particular car, it does not, which kind of irritates the crap out of me. But it is what it is, and I'll live with it. It's better than crank windows, I guess. So I guess that's basically my review of my car. I would definitely buy it again if I had the opportunity. I wouldn't hesitate. With that being said, I want to move on to a couple of things that are going to be upcoming on the channel. I know I've been absent for a little bit, and I haven't really been making a lot of videos lately. It's because it may be wintertime here in Texas, and yeah, I get it, it's not cold, but the allergies just freaking kill me here, and I've been pretty much down and out because of allergies the last couple of months. So But been feeling pretty good the past few days, actually probably about the last week or so. So I decided to finally get back into it, make this video, because I just went past the 1 year mark and got a couple things in the works. For this, got another modification I'm going to do a video on. Probably going to do a video of putting the tint and all that other stuff back on the car that had to come off when they replaced the vehicle. And by the way, speaking of that, if you ever need any body and paint work, go check them out. These guys were phenomenal. They worked with me. They did a phenomenal job. You can't even tell the car was ever rear-ended. The paint matching work was on point. So I highly recommend you go see them if you're in the Dallas area. Now, with that being said, there's been some, I guess, a huge gap in the city car project. Now, a lot of you know that that project is basically a project that my father was going to be doing for the channel because he retired last year. Well, he didn't stay retired very long. He got sick sitting at home. He wasn't able to work on the car when he was at home, so he went and found himself a job. But he's now working for a local shop in his area down in Conroe, where they basically rebuild cars. Now, I'm not talking about salvage cars, I'm talking older cars. He just got done doing a bunch of body work, patching panels and stuff for a Volkswagen Beetle, and he's now working on a Corvair. So he came up with the idea of doing a, like a kind of a how-to series of what he's working on there, and his boss was all for it. So I should have the first piece of footage coming from him soon for that, and it'll be an introduction, and then it'll be going on from there. Also, I'm going to start doing a thing like buy some products and like some car products and whatnot. Maybe it's something to clean the windows better or whatnot. Does it actually work, or are they just gimmicks? So I got a couple of those things in mind. I got 2 videos that I'm going to be making soon. One for windows, one for the body of the car. So stay tuned for that, and hopefully we can get this channel going and get it growing, actually, because I'd like to continue with this and see where it goes. I'm about 231 subscribers as I make this video, and it just seemed like an uphill battle for the last year trying to get that. And I'll get a couple here, a couple there, but I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm not going to dwell on the numbers. I'm just going to keep doing what I like doing. Another thing I'd like to try doing is get together with some local people. If you are in the Dallas area and you've got a car that I could video, I'd love to come check it out and do a video on it. I'm not saying I have to drive the car, because I know how people get. They get very temperamental when people ask to drive their cars. Even if you just take me for a ride along in it, that's cool with me, as long as we can just sit down, talk about it, get it videoed, and really showcase your car. What I'm really interested in are weird, odd cars, things you don't see every day. I'm not opposed to, I guess you would say, other regular modern muscle cars, supercars, luxury cars, whatever it may be. But I really like the offbeat stuff, hence the name of my channel. Things you don't see every day. A freaking Yugo, old school 80s Alfa Romeos. Those are freaking cool. Stuff like that. So if you got something like that and you're willing to do a video with me on it, hit me up. My email address will be in the description below. I really appreciate you guys watching the videos, and I hope you stay tuned for more, and I will catch you guys later.